Nation of Islam Day, we had an annual convention under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad leadership. Under Imam Muhammad leadership, annual convention. This is a concept that is exclusive for us. And many of us, we didn't support the convention during the time of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We didn't support it when the Honorable Imam Muhammad was physically with us. And today we still don't support it. But it don't change our custom, our traditions, and our history. And for some of us, we have not missed one since we came into the faith. So we thank Allah for all of you traveling great distance to support a legacy, to support our tradition and our history, our annual Islamic convention. And we know that this particular convention, Labor Day weekend, was given to us by Imam Mohammed, and it was produced from the mosque here. It was the mosque here that gave this convention, so we follow in that tradition. Allah says in the Quran, Allah says, I listen to the dua, to the supplication of all my servants and all my slaves, so let them listen to my call. And it is amazing, the human being, when we want to cry out to God, when we want to call out to God, we want Him to listen and we want Him to answer. But when He calls out to us, we don't want to listen. And throughout the Quran, from Al-Fatiha to An-Nas, Allah is calling us. And basically, it's only two calls that He makes. He is calling us away from something, or He calling us to something. Throughout the Quran, these commandments are reduced to two commandments. Something He's telling you to do, and something He's telling you to stop. If you are doing it, then this is why Allah says stop it. If you're not doing it, this is why Allah says and do it. These are called throughout the Quran. Allah tells us to turn to Him, and to turn away from something else. So many terms that is mentioned in the Quran. And any call by Allah is to be answered, especially when He is calling you. So Allah is always calling us, not sometime, all the times. You know, small children, when they go across the street to catch the school bus, you have to tell them that every day. The day you don't tell them is the day they may get hit by an automobile. And in Allah's sight, we're like little children. We have to be told the same thing over and over again. I challenge you. How many times does Allah says in the Quran, I am your Lord, therefore worship me? How many times He say this? He could have said it one time and been through with it. But He said that human beings are creatures that forget. He said this numerous of times throughout the Quran. So we have to turn to Allah. Usually whenever there's a death in the community, this is the only time we hear this phrase, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. That's the only time most of us hear this phrase. But this phrase is not to be reduced to when someone dies. And it's best that we return to Allah while we are alive with the blood still warm in our veins than return to Him after we die. It is more important that we return to Him on this side. Many of us, behind the death of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we went back to some of our old ways. So the question now becomes, was you into the religion at that time for Elijah Muhammad, or was you in it for yourself? Imam Muhammad had passed away physically, and many of us has returned back to our old ways. Was you in the religion for Imam Muhammad, or was you in it for yourself? I'm a traveler, and I've traveled throughout the country and many times outside of the country. And in particular, I witness our community. And many of us, we have returned back to smoking. And some of us, we never stop smoking. So you don't have to return to smoking if you never stop. And they have a new cigarette out now called electronic cigarette. Some of us smoking that. We smoke anything. Return back to alcohol and drugs, fornication and adultery. And many of us, the reason we don't marry is because we have a boyfriend and we have a girlfriend. Did that rule out the need for a husband or a wife? Dear believers, we have to know when to make that turn. And Allah allows us 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to make a U-turn anytime you want to. And you won't get a ticket. We're looking at the African American leadership in particular, but leadership overall. And we see one common thread that's hurting the leadership, especially in the African American community. Not just African American who are Muslim, but leadership, period, is bad morals. And Imam Mohammed have taught us we're not going nowhere with bad morals. Don't care how much money you have. Don't care how educated you are. If you have bad morals, eventually it's going to bring you down. And we look in the news where people misusing funds, where people in leadership can't even keep their pants down, can't keep their dress down. It's sad. It's pitiful. Sell leadership for a Rolex watch. It's sad. And many times we choose leaders who license our weaknesses. That's why we choose them. And who let us do anything we want to do. And sometimes we have to be very careful when we say we love our Imam, because it might not be for the right reason. You say you love your Imam. Why? Because he let me get away with murder. Why you love him? Because he let me do anything. Well, that's the wrong reason to love him. Once our morals is muffled or become corrupted or destroyed, Imam Mohammed says, this opened the door for the tyrants and the oppressor to fish in the waters of our sensitivity and throw bait out to them that would enslave them. If you study certain leaders, certain politicians, they don't speak against certain issues. And the intelligence in that is, why speak against something that you yourself is doing? You're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. So many times these people in leadership can't even speak against an issue because they're part of that issue. The weapon of the prophets, peace be upon all of them, was dua. Just as we told you, La ilaha illallah, aqulu wallahu ahad, was a weapon. It's not something material like a hammer or a sword, but it's a weapon. And the dua of the prophet was, the weapon of the prophet was dua. And we forget how powerful dua is coming from a sincere and righteous heart. And that is also the weapon of the believers. And we close with this. We call into Allah, and Allah is calling to us. It should be a two-way street. When we call on Him, we expect for Him to answer. When He calls on us, we should answer. In the Salat, we say,